Hey everybody, Michael Snyder here, Pacific Northwest Weather Watch. Today is February 24th, and right now we are looking at the infrared satellite imagery here, and you can see a lot of the Pacific Northwest dealing with some nice sunny skies this morning as that low pressure system now moves down towards California. Next system is hot on its heels, though, as you can see, moving across British Columbia. It's going to spread some snowfall across much of the region here as we go on into this weekend. We'll take a look at those details here in a moment. Now, this is 1 through 3 day overall winter storm impacts. You can see some minor impacts here across some of the Willamette Valley, Southwest Washington, through the Seattle metro here. Not expecting a lot of snowfall with this, but it should be fairly widespread. I'm hoping for an inch or so here across the Seattle area. There's going to be some snow shadowing going on across the region here as well. We'll look at some of the details and the models coming up here in a minute. Now, this is looking at the mountainous areas. You can see bigger impacts, moderate or even major, across some of the North Cascades coming up here, maybe the Olympic Mountains as well. But that's where a lot less people live. But you can still see some impacts all the way down to the Oregon Cascades, again, with this next system as we go through, and maybe some out for Spokane as well, some additional snowfall out there also. This is SeaTac. 24 was the old record low. We got to 23 at least this morning here, so we set an all-time record low for February 24th there. And you can see we're kind of a bit drier here than normal for the month of February, 1.87 versus 3.76 for the normal here. Let's see if we can catch up towards the end of the month there, although there's not a lot of precipitation coming in with these systems. Now, looking at this, National Weather Service Seattle kind of giving you a heads up on what they believe is going to fall as snowfall across the area here. Bremerton, the winner here on this latest forecast there, but we'll look at what some of the models have to say here in a moment. This is current wind chills across western Oregon. Very chilly out there. It doesn't take much to go outside and feel that bone-chilling cold, especially across the higher terrain, and as you get east of the mountains there on and through eastern Oregon, Washington, and British Columbia, it gets much colder. This is down for Southern California, not Southern California, Southern Oregon here, Medford, Oregon, calling for some high avalanche danger across some of the areas across Northern California and potentially Southwest Oregon as well. So watch out for this. A lot of snow is falling out there. Check avalanche.org. We'll also take a look at this a little bit more at the end of the video. This is measuring snow. Nice starter kit here for getting out there and using a snowboard. You're planning your setup, measuring snow when the snow stops, and how to report it there. Great graphic here from the National Weather Service. This is looking at the NAM 12KM, and you can see that system rolling in here, and you see it start as mostly snow here across much of the region, but we are going to warm up a bit above freezing here as we go through the day Sunday. So when will that changeover occur? We'll try to look at some of the models here, and it looks like we might flirt even with some more snowfall later in the period, depending on what model you believe, because you can see the NAM as we go on in through Monday afternoon. This low pressure system kind of coming in a bit further south might keep things as snow onto the lower elevations here. We'll look at some of those details as well. This is the European total snow Kuchera ratio. Put that into motion. You can see this snow come across the region here, showing 1.5 inches for Seattle there. A little bit more as you go Olympia south towards Portland, Kelso, Longview. Bigger amounts, of course, for the Cascades of Washington, British Columbia, the higher terrain as always. Some big snowfall amounts showing up for portions of Vancouver Island as well, maybe BC, a little bit more up towards the northwest interior as well. Go a little bit further out in the future, and you can see some additional snowfall upticking there as you go through Monday afternoon as well. So we might not be done with the snowfall as we go through Sunday, but it doesn't look like any major, huge snowstorm for the lower elevations as of right now. But we could see some decent amounts. You're talking 3-4 inches could happen south of Olympia towards Portland, maybe 1 inch or 2 for Seattle, for example. And again, some higher amounts for the northwest interior. This is the GFS. Check this out. Just a little bit of a snowier picture here across Seattle on Sunday. You can see the snow shadow here occurring across Whidbey Island, Port Townsend there as well. Might be a little bit of a snow shadow here as we get some southerlies off the higher terrain, bringing a little bit of compression here and warming in that area, and a little bit less snowy for some of the Willamette Valley, but you can see still some big amounts across some of the areas like Centralia down there towards Kelso, Longview, Olympia, possibly as well, Southwest Washington, the higher terrain of the Oregon mountains as well. And of course, the Cascades go without saying. Now, this is looking at 100-meter wind speed here on the European. So you can see the offshore winds finally starting to relax as you go through the day to day. The outflow cuts off. That system moves down and out of our area. Then the next system's got some southerlies with it here. So it's going to try to warm up our Arctic air mass here as we go on in through Saturday and Sunday. So it's going to be pretty marginal. We're going to get the cooling because the evaporative cooling in this very dry Arctic air mass, but these southerlies are trying to bring in some warmer air here as we go on in through the day Sunday. And eventually it'll win out during the day Sunday, and then we're going to bring an end to that precipitation, but we might not quite be done with the snow yet. As you can see, this next low pressure system on the European, it's, hanging out a little bit close. If it drops a little bit further south, we could keep some colder air a little bit lower across the region here. We'll be watching that as we go on into tomorrow as well. This is looking at 925 millibar heights. I'll show you something here really quick. There go the offshore winds. And you can see some southerly winds as you go on through Saturday night into Sunday morning. That might keep some snow shadowing across the area here. And then we're going to look at NAM 3KM, and now let's just put this into motion. I want to kind of show you that rain shadow or snow shadow effect there and across some of the areas northeast of the Olympic Mountains there, and you can kind of see the scattered amounts of snowfall, but it should be a little bit wider spread than the last round. We had a little bit up here, and then we had a huge amount for Portland, some of southwest Washington, and just kind of lighter amounts across the Seattle metro, but this should be kind of wider spread across the region. You can see Bellingham 2.3, up towards Marysville, maybe 2-3 inches, Lake Stevens as well. You can see that band across some areas just east of Seattle as well on the NAM high resolution model here, and of course the big amounts for the Cascades. This is looking at Seattle-Tacoma national blend of models here. You can see we're going to be right around freezing for the next few days, so we could be flirting with some snowfall if things line up right. This is Portland, similar thing shown there. Portland International Airport, and you can see kind of multiple rounds of snow potential coming up here. And again, we're just kind of focusing here on Sunday first because we're not sure. This next low pressure system's kind of been changing its track a little bit back and forth here. We'll see how that one trends, but the first one is going to come Saturday night into Sunday. This is Seattle, kind of a similar thing here. Still some snow potential as you go on in through Tuesday morning after that system on Sunday. But you can see the models now calling between 1 and 2 inches for Seattle versus the 2 to 3 we had a day or two ago. This is Seattle-Tacoma, the snow plume here, kind of showing the same data there. And you can see the ensemble clustering here between 1/2 inch and 2.5 inches for a lot of the Seattle metro coming up here. Some areas are going to see a little more, some less. Now looking at Seattle-Tacoma, this is the GFS. You can see we flirt with some of these freezing temperatures as we go on in through next week towards next weekend here, and maybe even off through the extended year. Pretty cold start to March here coming up, folks. Now this is looking at dew point temperature. Put this into motion. You can see the low pulling away here. Very dry air across the region here, and you can see us drop back down again as we go into Saturday morning. Then that system arrives, and then you're going to start to get that evaporative cooling, which should start things as snow across much of the region here as we go on in through the day Sunday. Then we're going to get some kind of changeover here as we go through later Sunday morning across much of the area as well. But then we'll see where this next low pressure system sets up there. As you can see, we remain chilly there going on into Monday. This was looking at Spokane, pretty chilly overnight lows coming on through the extended forecast there. Couple rounds of snow possible out there. Would be more of the dry, light, fluffy variety versus what's going to happen on west of the Cascades. This is the avalanche center here. You can see there is some moderate and considerable across the region. Idaho Panhandle, western Montana, heads up. There is high avalanche danger there. And you can see down towards Mount Shasta, they have some high danger there. So I would have a heads up across southwest Oregon as well. A lot of snow fell across some of the higher terrain there. 6 to 10 day temperature outlook. Bullseye on the west coast there. This goes through March 5th. This goes through March 9th. Again, that bullseye here for the west coast. And you can see this seasonal drought outlook. Check it out. Drought remains but improves here as we go. So maybe we'll get some drought improvement here across the west. Southern California, Nevada, Utah, though the drought looks to persist here on in through the end of May. This is the risk of hazardous temperatures here, kind of encompassing the entire west here all the way through early March. Slight chance for some heavy precipitation along the west coast. We've got risk of heavy snow along the Cascades all the way down to the Siskiyous and the Sierra Nevada here as we go on through March 9th. Risk of high winds does exist here for some of the west coast. We'll watch these systems as they come in through early March there. But yeah, you'll see some nice high clouds tonight. Might get some nice sunset activity out there. So get your cameras out tonight and try to capture some of that. Maybe we'll get some lenticular clouds as well. But this system is on its way. Should start as snow. Doesn't look like a huge snowstorm, but I'm hoping for an inch or two here across the Seattle metro, maybe a little bit higher across Olympia down towards Portland or the northwest interior. And of course, the mountains are going to make out better than the lowlands, of course. So anyway, yeah, hope you guys are having a good day. We'll do this again tomorrow, and we'll check these model trends. We'll look at the UW high-resolution models tomorrow and try to pinpoint these amounts a little bit better here and see how things are trending. But anyway, yeah, I hope you guys are having a good day. Enjoy that sunshine while you can out there, and I'll talk to you guys tomorrow.